Alright, then let's rock and roll. It's NGEGNER versus NoBeaches, first game, second match. Let's get it on the way. I'm looking forward to seeing an upset. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Small chance, but it will be really cool.
I think that's what everyone's got their fingers crossed for. Let's see something big happening today.
Absolutely. I mean, NGEGNER was definitely on the S tier in most people's tier list today. So going by the Discord, I think NGEGNER got it today.
Yeah, some of those tier lists were quite funny to look at, to be honest with you. I did have a good giggle.
Ah, oops. Alright.
Amiya and Sicko on dual blades. A lot of mauls on both sides. NGEGNER have got a couple of muskets. Yeah, typical hero setups here. Unit setup wise, a lot of cav and anti-cav. Very mixed overall, actually, to be honest with you. Crescent monks in there, a lot of pikes, got some muskets, cav, cocos. So it looks like both teams 3-4 sets of cocos. So yeah, I think both teams are going to want to try and get a big infantry push blob going on just so they can utilize their cocos.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Meanwhile,
quite a handful of cav on each side, so expect some cheeky flanks. Definitely someone like Amiya in the game and Sicko.
Yeah.
I feel like they're definitely going to be looking for that flank.
Yeah, Amiya with the dagger axe and the Liao, so he'll be looking, trying to look cool there.
Oh, 100%.
He doesn't have the competition from Sekis this time. I mean, Sekis was ahead of him in the hero kills most of the time last season until they gave Amiya like, I don't know, 15 hero kills in one match or something.
Oh god. Caught up literally in one match then.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, we're getting ready in Warford once again. Your tournament favorite map. We do see small defense maybe on the small fort this time. Yep.
Yeah, it's like we said last game, it's always good to, you know, it's like 4 or 5 cannons there.
Yeah,
very,
exactly.
very useful. Definitely on defense.
Yeah, you at least want to scare them.
Yeah. Even hold them off for like 30 seconds. As you can see, it's just artillery left, right, and centre in the B area. So just kicking ladders, getting a bit of damage off, maybe picking off someone. Always very useful. It seems like the attackers will be hitting the left side of that fort. So,
oh yeah, and it's also Amiya here. Amiya.
Amiya got picked off.
Bye Amiya. Right, not off to a good start here for NoBeaches. Definitely sleeping a little bit.
Yeah, we definitely got caught out there. It happens. I had it done to me in Scrim the other day, so it does happen. But it'd be interesting to see if they're going to start looking at taking out the bridge, or if they're going to start reinforcing that B point.
Yeah, exactly.
So at the moment, it's literally just my territory, just to stop them from getting that supply for 5 seconds.
Yeah. Meanwhile, NoBeaches are also sleeping a bit. I think both towers not being pushed. We got vasectomy and what am I saying here? NGEGNER not sleeping a little bit here because vasectomy and Sikawagwan actually killing all of the Martatori and I think Village Watchmen here on the towers and the battering ram.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not good. Attackers, NGEGNER definitely do need to look at pushing these towers. You can't just push one tower at a time, and you always got to watch over, because all it takes is 2 heroes to come out and they can wipe a full unit like my territory in 5-6 seconds.
Yeah,
quite quickly. So with any one tower pushing, they could easily throw someone off the wall and stop it, or it just means that the attackers are probably going to hard focus that one tower, which for defense you can get quite an easy little setup up. It does seem like the defense here are just all heroes. They might throw a couple units of infantry up if that's in their strat, but yeah, and NGEGNER aren't attacking B point right now. They've completely left it. They've literally taken the supply and not bothered going over the bridge. Yeah, I think they should probably send someone up to B just to get those extra 3 minutes from capping.
And I'll be very interested to see now to get some Zakali militia on the walls because NGEGNER grouping at the gate with all the units there. You can see the muskets from Yoku and also Socialist Hippie just raining hell on those units.
Free damage.
Yep. You gotta make sure you get those MVP stats.
Literally getting that hero damage on. Maybe pick off a hero while they're out there. I think when it comes to something like this, As you can see, right tower still not being pushed. They probably want to push that, get that up as quick as possible, and then yeah, look at probably taking over the wall, getting those Sakalian militias out.
Exactly. Alright, gate destroyed, that's something already. But NoBeaches is definitely looking to hold very closely to wall. Looks like that's a strat going to, that's definitely going to be the strat. I wonder if the gate is or the breach is going to go down as well. It would definitely open up another avenue. Of course, B still needs to be captured, right? Like surprisingly, not even.
Yeah, it's weird how they didn't just send one person up there just to take it. But I'm guessing they might look at doing it as soon as they start getting up on its left side to take over A.
Yeah, and NoBeaches definitely taking a really slow approach here on the attack, just taking our time to.
And see, Amy's just jumped off the wall.
Yep.
Yep.
He's going for the Sakalian. There we go. We talked about it before the match. It looks like he might be going down once again. Amia. Oof.
Yeah, he got caught out by the chain dart there.
Yeah, you got a rough start today.
Yeah, a little bit rough. The chain darts are very good at locking down any hero. So yeah, as soon as they do have that chance to lock down a hero, you literally get everyone just dogpile and
absolutely.
Easy kill.
But looks like NoBeaches is going for revenge here. Meanwhile, ENDGEGNER actually capturing the point, but another unit of Sakalian militia is going to be destroyed. I think half.
Socialist hippie, Sicko out, just taking out Sakalian militia, quite big.
Absolutely, yeah. So
since CBR, so we don't need to worry about free death.
Yep.
And yeah, I think worth. NoBeaches went looking at defending a point like that, down by the gate, and to take out one of their Sakalian militia. I think ENDGEGNER have 4 Sakalian militia, so to take out one already, you're winning. Really good little strat there.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see NoBeaches is just playing so aggressively, right? I mean, maybe inspired by Ami already, but again, 2 mauls sitting outside, so if ENDGEGNER wants to bring in any new units, they need to actually escort them to the walls just to get there.
Yeah, exactly. And if you spawn with anything fragile like the Sakalian militia, they're just going to get insta-killed by the mauls outside. And also, as an attacker, having a maul or 2 outside who are disrupting units can be a bit unsettling. Definitely if they're doing a good job of it as well. A lot of time you can just ignore them, just carry on with the attack, but like you saw just then, them taking out Sakalian militia, it's it can be quite a big loss. But yeah, it's a bit weird how they haven't pushed that right tower there. You probably just think they would have done it, but NoBeaches doing a nice little strat there where they put a couple units into the gate, so then they can't be affected by the Sakalian militia or the Shenjus.
Yep.
They're doing a similar tactic with Argonauts where they're very close with their units behind those wooden fences there. Breach has been taken down, and then yeah, NoBeaches are just going to be using their heroes for a minute.
Yeah, it looks like ENDGEGNER is going to rotate down to the breach, I think, this time. They got 10 minutes left, so still plenty of time. Meanwhile, NoBeaches is actually going to get a couple of guys there. Socialist hippie picking up the kill against Akaya Desu. He's going to lose his unit most likely as well. Shieldman is still fighting there, but Jack and No Mercy Pawns are gonna eat that up like it's breakfast.
Yep. I don't know why you didn't 3 unit of shield maidens there. It's a lot of leadership, tier 5 unit.
Absolutely.
I think they could have all just come down at the same time, and then if NoBeaches did want to come up and fight him, they could have just easily got him. But they're down on the floor now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Sicko Wagwan picking up the kill there. I was expecting Aimia to get this revenge, but Sicko Wagwan stealing it from him there.
Yeah, we're going to see more of it from these 2.
Yep. I definitely... what are ENDGEGNER looking for here?
I honestly don't know. To completely give up wall pressure.
Yeah, just go again for the A point. Make sure to capture A point, that's important. Keep it secure, keep it safe. No, so I think that they didn't want to have any mauls or another hero in their backline, so I think they just went back out, made sure that there's nothing else outside right now, and they're just going back, sweep the walls, and put the Zakali in position. That's most likely their plan right now. There's also the longbows there. But you can see Ups, Zenga, Vasectomy, they're going outside once again.
Yeah, we see one of them all jumping down onto the stairs to try and take out one of the dual blades there.
Yeah.
I believe that's Amia.
And there we go. XCOM again going to lose a Sicalian. Sicalian gun. That's another unit.
Yeah. And that's the thing with attack on this map. With the bans that we've had, Zygaia Militia are one of the best ranged units to use for these big fights, and to use multiple units of it before we've even had a big fight. It's quite a big loss.
Yep. We've got to focus on the fight now, though, because NoBeaches have put themselves in a really tricky position, I think.
Yep. Zygaia Militias on both sides going off right now. It's really important that the heroes jump on the Zygaia Militias, which I do see one of the Mauls in the background doing right now.
Yeah, Sicalian is still free fighting for Akadesa, but there goes No Mercy Pawns and Weed coming in with the shield mains in the backline as well. Oh, Vasectomy going in with the shield mains in the front line. Looks like ENDGEGNER is going to get full wiped here.
Yeah, I believe they are going to get full wiped. Their heroes didn't do a bad job. They did clear up a couple of Zygaia Militias, they did clear up a couple of units, but overall I think that NoBeaches' hero play mechanics and units were better off in the fight.
Yep, definitely. Alright, so
now... Snow, yeah. No doubt we'll see a meme of that later.
And NoBeaches is also making sure to check their boxes, so immediately going back to supply, getting new units. Like even if ENDGEGNER wants to do like a quick rotation with the respawn, which is really slow on this map, they won't be able to get in the breach or anything.
Yep, and that's why you see the veteran players being vets. This is their experience coming through now. You know, right back to supply point, getting all their units out, getting set back up instantly. You know, before respawn time has even gone through, and then whoever's still having ENDGEGNER has got to go all the way back to the supply point, which is quite a bit of a journey, to be honest with you, to then reset up again. It'll be interesting to see how they're going to take it now. Are they going to go up the same way again? Are they going to go through the breach on the left side?
Definitely hard group on the left side this time. So Susana talked about during the interview and also after the interview, he talked about how his team is still really looking to find like coordinated fights. They're still struggling to just like group together properly, not get caught out, and you can see it there, right? Like one by one, units are getting punished by NoBeaches, and NoBeaches will be the first team to punish you, of course.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're massive on their hero play, as we've been seeing the whole time so far. And it's really paying off. Like one of the muskets just got an amazing musket bomb onto a lot of their Zygaia Militia. I think they've wiped out half a unit. So, as I said, these small plays from these guys who are massively into their hero playing is just
exactly
doing work.
Yep, and it's the same right now. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the wall right now. Yeah.
So 2 heroes going down, just trying to like gain some ground on the walls. Trap actually flying in, but I think it got some of the Chevaliers, but not that many. No, didn't get any. Yeah, so ENDGEGNER 5 minutes now left on the clock, so they're gonna have to be creative here. They need to find somewhere in there.
They're gonna have to.
They got 1 unit of Sicalian still, 1 unit of Shanji.
But NoBeaches heroes have been targeting these units as well. Like definitely the musket boys, they are going hard on the Shanjis and the Zygaia Militias. Same with the Mauls earlier, wiping out a full unit of it. Sicko just got hit by a Maul, gutted.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah,
1 tap. Alright, here goes the front line though. Star Wars going in, Myrmidon's going in. That's quite soon though, for the Watcher Brace in the back. Nice Sicalian.
Monks are sitting down in the back, maybe start sending them in a little bit. But Cav looking for an opportunity, but 40 set up, so...
Yeah, big resort charge from the front. That may even not go through, but the Cav at the gate. Ooh, that's being stopped though. Vasectomy and Up's not able to go through the Forte Watcher at the gate, so we can focus on the fight here at the stairs.
Another unit Zygaia has just been taken out as well. And NoBeaches are holding pretty strong at the moment. They've got Liliaos there looking for that big flank, but again there are 40s braced with Mauls completely demolishing those Liliaos.
Yeah,
Shenji's still holding strong as well, but now another unit of Cav just came through and devastating, absolutely devastating. The Treb there probably a little bit too late, but NoBeaches, very good defense. They were just waiting for that Cav push. They held up very strong. And,
ENDGEGNER were able to hold off the Cav that was trying to go through the gate, but they had to attack and not defend, so kind of the opposite there. It almost feels like NoBeaches is attacking ENDGEGNER at this point.
Yeah, lucky there isn't an end point, or else you see Amir and Sicko just sitting on that end point, just laughing at them.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. NoBeaches just showing off what they're made of here.
Yeah. The majority of the players are very, like, who I know of, very mechanical, very good at what they do. And yeah, you give them enough room to be able to do this kind of stuff, they'll take full advantage of it. And as you can tell, yeah, they've been loving it.
Yep.
I feel like NGEGNER should have been a lot more aggressive. Definitely with the walls. But
yeah, absolutely, and they, I mean, they were a bit slow, right? Of course, not getting their Zicali on the wall like 3 times, I think, not a good sign. Ooh, Maul jumping down, that was not the plan, I think, for Sandra. Aggressive play, he was trying to go for something there.
What was even in there?
Yeah.
I don't even see anything in there. So.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, quite questionable that, but okay.
Yeah, we're getting we're getting a gate push though. Somewhat.
Cab charging into 40s, probably not the best decision to make.
Yeah, suboptimal. Meanwhile, trap at the breach. Right, Woodcutter's trying to bait there. Zartas going down.
Yeah, it's a big
alright, NoBeaches are pulling it now. Yep.
Yeah, NoBeaches are forcing their way back through. I think this is NGEGNER just throwing in whatever they have left now. And yeah, no. Like I said, NoBeaches doing what they do best. They played heavily on their heroes. Someone's on C point. I don't know. They might actually get it. I don't see any NoBeaches actually doing anything about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Amya's saying right now, hey, don't let them cap, just to get the kills.
Yeah.
They just might be doing it. And
Yeah,
it doesn't look like, alright, looks like someone from NoBeaches is done with this game. Yeah, Sekawakwan, to no surprise. I mean, Sekawakwan probably ahead in the kills. Yep, he got 4. Oh, Socialist Hippie actually with 7 hero kills. He's been showing off there. But Chimera and team captain from NGEGNER are still showing where the team was supposed to go. But he's being taken down right now.
Yeah. It's definitely a hard fight for NGEGNER. I feel like they were definitely confused with how they wanted to do it. But I just gave them a little bit of experience of what they can try to do for next time. So I said, the glory of this map is that you can attack and defend it from multiple different angles.
Absolutely.
Just clearing up the last couple there. And NoBeaches took that one very heavily.
Absolutely. Strong hold there by NoBeaches. Not a single doubt there. Except for the 2 free kills Amya gave up at the start. But other than that, solid game here. Socialist Hippie though, leading the hero kills with 8, followed by Ayoku with 7. Musket's strong apparently right now. But then Jubai picking up the MVP here with 127 unit kills. Zenga following him with 115, really cool. And Vasectimil's doing really well with 127. He was also always on the outside. Definitely one of the star players on NoBeaches for a while now. On the other side, we got Nain doing decently well with 70 unit kills, but of course the scores on NoBeaches on NGEGNER side not looking that pretty after such a game.
Yeah, the push from NGEGNER went bad. It's just that NoBeaches knew exactly what they're doing, and as soon as they had that chance to get that cab through, they hit hard and wiped.
Absolutely.
And with the use of their muskets as well, IOQ and Socialist Hippie, their musket bombs were on point. I think every time I saw them throw a musket bomb, they were killing half a unit as IKA militia. They were hitting right in the middle of the Shenji grenades. And when you're attacking and you haven't got Falcos or Flamers or anything like that, having IKA militia and Shenjis are very important. And yeah, they just couldn't utilize them as much as they should have.
Yep, absolutely.
Very well played.
Very well played. Alright, so that's 1-0 to NoBeaches then. So we'll be getting that one in there. No. NoBeaches 1. Did I spell that correct? No. And then we got NGEGNER on 0. Alright, so I'm gonna switch around now. Very curious to see how NoBeaches will approach the attack. I'm looking for angry Amya. That will be for sure.
Yeah, I feel like Amir and Sicko are gonna definitely be looking for those picks. 100%. That as soon as someone steps slightly out of line, they're gonna be on them, and I think you're gonna see quite a lot of kills from both of them.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised if NoBeaches do quite an aggressive play as well.
Yeah, very curious to see. I mean, I think we saw like a textbook play there from NoBeaches. That's how it felt like. Holding so close to the wall, just really solid rotations, quick on the resupply as well that you mentioned. So very curious to see how they will perform like a textbook attack on the next one.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they do there.
Yeah.
How they're gonna attack, what approach they're gonna take.
Yeah. I'm not going to be expecting longbow, to be honest. I feel like NoBeaches would be the team to. Of course, they would probably bring the Sicalian, and then lots of
100%.
muskets, and then but I do expect them to be more quick about the approach after the initial like picks.
Yeah, knowing these players, I'll be quite surprised if they do blame vassals. It's like AM militia, yes. A lot of cav, I wouldn't be surprised at.
Mm-hmm.
And something aggressive, like the myrmidons. I think that myrmidons at the moment are very, very aggressive heavy. So too, I could see them bringing a couple of them. I'm not sure about monks either. I don't think monks will be brought. Maybe, maybe not.
We'll see. Yeah. I mean, we saw lots of monks. Yeah, we saw lots of monks from NoBeaches on the initial fight. I think the first one they had like 3 sitting at the gate.
Yeah, they do seem to be a very good defensive unit, but for aggressive attacks, still debating on that part.
Yeah, exactly. It's, the way they are being played, I feel like camels are the one that just sit and counter Kev, and then you got the monks just sitting and countering the infantry.
Yep.
That's basically the plan. I feel
both of them are very tanky as well.
Yeah.
So it is a nice little setup you can do there, just with them two alone.
Alright, lobbies are quickly loading up, so we're almost ready to get the second game going as well then.
Yeah,
just making sure everyone else is sitting ready. Let's see. Alright, should be good. Alright, waiting for one more on NoBeaches side. I'll be showing you the lobby right now. It's just waiting for one more player. NoBeaches leading, of course. Yep.
Just enjoy reading the chat right now as well.
Yeah, it's been fun for sure. I'm expecting a lot of memes, guys, so you make sure to go to the Discord. I should be doing this more often perhaps, but there we go. Go to the Discord. Make sure to check out the YouTube as well. There's lots of banter for sure. Lots of memes, lots of streams. But make sure to go to the Discord. Spam the meme channel. You can do anything you want there. If it goes too far, we'll be sure to take it out. But most of it should be fine, I think. We'll see. Alright. Also on the Discord and hashtag predictions, you can find the tier maker, which is a website that you can use to build tier lists. So if you go there, you can put the teams in any order that you like. For example, like many have done, putting ENDGEGNER in S tier, of course. But then, of course, you can also make a more realistic one, like putting Buddy and NoBeaches in the top. But it's up to you. Rostec division is going to be big upset, I think. So make sure to check that out as well. The Rostec division is, of course, streamed on individual streamers' channels. where the Feudal division is streamed on, like kinda official ones. So CB Rifles, this one is the English one, we got a French one, we got a German one as well this season. That's really cool. And sometimes Sky Bull is also covering the Turkish one. And then I'm happy to have you joining me at Echoes as well. Do you know if you'll be playing actually? You guys should be playing in half an hour normally, right?
I'm not sure if I'll be playing today. We have got quite a few signups on my team, so nice. I might be just a sub, just watching and laughing at my team.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I look forward to doing it anyway.
Alright, looks like they're ready. Yep, they are ready. Checking. The last one.
I'm looking forward to this.
I can see
how ENDGEGNER defend, and I want to see how NoBeaches attack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see who takes the initiative there. I can see your team captain is already aiming for you in the chat.
Oh, is it?
Alright.
I know what you mean, mate.
Alright, yep, we're good to go. Here we go. Second game of the second match here. NoBeaches leading 1-0. The bands, you can see them at the bottom. They're the same as the first game, of course. We'll be very curious to see if NoBeaches can steamroll it, or if Susno and his Chimera and his boys can actually hold off. I mean, defending is quite often a bit easier, especially if you fight closely together and stick together.
Yeah, if they have a good defense plan, they can hold on.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how they're going to be, their unit layouts, and how they're going to be attacking and defending. So NoBeaches have brought quite a few monks. They've got cav ready, they've got a bit of anti-cav, handful of shield maidens. So yeah, it's quite interesting. And then on the defense side,
oh my god,
we got a handful of cav, shield pikes. Yeah,
5 Sicalian this time once again. Yeah. I'm actually surprised by the amount of monks on NoBeaches. We do not see the longbows, so it will be a faster paced game for sure. It's basically like Forte Braccio, Shield Maidens, and then Crescent Monks or Claymores. With some Cav and some Modal. Yeah.
Maybe they know something about Crescent Monks that no one else does yet.
Yeah, it does look like it. Even Amia's playing those, so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, look at it. It's like anti-Cav, Crescent Monks. That's it.
Just trying to sprinkle a little bit of Shield Maiden in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the defense side, I see that a few of them are starting with grey units. So I don't know if this is just like a bait to not give away the units they are going to be bringing, or if they've got some kind of strat ready.
Alright, let's check it out.
ENDGEGNER are doing a similar thing to NoBeaches on B, where they are starting with just grey units, probably just to hold off for a couple of seconds and whatnot.
Exactly. Looks like NoBeaches ready for that though. They're going down with like 10 guys.
They're going to be doing a very heavy push on B, probably take over B right off the bat. And with all these grey units, it'll be quite easy to clear out, as long as they can actually get their guys up. But ENDGEGNER doing a good job there, just kicking the ladders down.
Yeah, actually decent also. I mean, it's at least they're getting a couple seconds here.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be
This is what I mean about like the importance of defending A and B. Definitely B. Even if it's just a light defense, like you got NoBeaches right now with gold and purple units, and they can't really get up, and all the ENDGEGNER are defending with just grey units right now.
Exactly.
The NoBeaches are starting to come through a little bit. They come through the main gate, so they've got that down.
Yeah.
Pushing through quite heavily with their units. So ENDGEGNER are going to have to look at retreating and probably holding on the bridge or whatever else they're planning.
He's in 3-4 threat, so that was a small warm up there. At least one
just
player
sharing
going
the
down.
aggression of what NoBeaches is going to be doing now.
Yep. Yeah, looks like, alright, so they will be chasing for B, of course. NoBeaches, meanwhile, of course, also setting up not on the A point. And looks like they're even more back, like further back than NoBeaches was. They got some Hobbs Sergeants sitting all the way in the back there.
Got to be careful with that because NoBeaches, given the chance, they would jump on them.
Honestly, where are their units? I can't even tell. Alright, we'll find out later, I guess.
Yeah, they are pretty far back, so I think in a typical strategy of just giving up A and B and just giving a light defense. NoBeaches are now on A point, while ENDGEGNER are pulling back towards the supply point right now.
Yep. Yeah, and NoBeaches is like hard pinging all the heroes that they can find. Black and Red was too late going back from the... there we go. Ups picking up the kill. I'm desperately trying to get it, but not able to. XCOM going to lose his woodcutter. Is not gonna be sad about that for too long, I think.
Oh no. Yeah, NoBeaches, they love their heroes. As soon as they get the chance to take someone out, yeah, they're gonna full commit.
Yeah, absolutely. If you would 15-15 deathmatch, who would be a competition against NoBeaches?
Oh, that's quite a difficult one. I'll probably say Yeah Buddy. I know
Yeah,
quite a lot of the guys from Yeah Buddy,
yeah.
and I think that'd be pretty crazy.
Probably right. That would be kind of cool actually to see that. Yeah, I think especially from last season or like 2 seasons ago with Kebabs.
Yeah.
Those guys were also always putting off like crazy hero plays. But then they were also like inting it a little bit at the times, and that's what caused them to lose against like Plebs and Beaches, maybe even Pondguard season 0. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is the risk you take when you're a lot more of a hero-centered person over units. Is that you can go in sometimes there's a bit of limit testing. You go in, you might get a hero kill, but then you'll get absolutely stomped, and it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to drawing board. Again, I've got a couple of pikes and what other units out there?
Yeah, lots of
Palace
Jaguar
bars on the left side.
Yeah.
On one side, and yeah, they are hovering.
Ooh, good traps there though.
Yeah, it seems like NoBeaches are still using their artillery. That they still got. Don't seem to be blobbing up too much right now. They are in the far left corner. With some claymores and 40s.
Yeah, it looks like NoBeaches is going to adapt to the strategy that Ace was using in the first game that we saw today. Another trap on the supply. It just took 10 for the Bradshaw and 10 stalwarts down, so let's see if it finds another one. This time NoBeaches actually dodging it, that's good.
Definitely not supply point, you need to be careful about those traps. You don't want to be losing any units for no reason.
Yep. It looks like we got Machin, Jacked, and I think even Amia with the Zakali militia going to go around. Yeah, so 3 Zakali militia out right now for NoBeaches.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be looking for a big fight in a second then.
Alright. So I'll be very curious to see if NoBeaches is able to actually collapse quickly enough on NoBeaches with so much room here. Some are gonna watch out though. She's Hippie, Sigawak 1, Jack, they're all going for shield maidens.
Okay.
20 already losing half. That's a good pickup there. Small skirmish.
Yeah, small skirmish. And NoBeaches have got Cav in the back waiting. They've got some pikes on the side waiting. They have quite an idea of how they want to play this. And NoBeaches do need to start looking at reacting a little bit more with some infantry shortly.
And NoBeaches
literally got a single unit of stalwarts there just waiting.
Absolutely. The attackers are moving slowly in though. They are, of course, the attackers probably don't even know where the units are as well, so they're also slowly approaching her. Nice trap there, dodged by main. Yeah.
Yeah, got a few there. And NoBeaches are, yeah, they are hiding a lot of their units, and they are quite spread out to be fair. Be interested to see how they're going to collapse on NoBeaches when they do start pushing in properly. NoBeaches are going in slowly. But they just want to get in a good position before they just collapse.
Yeah, they may actually just collapse on the supplier.
Yeah, they've done a full rotation into supplies, so I'm hoping NoBeaches actually start setting something up like sooner rather than later. All we've got right now is Stalwarts and 40s really, and then they've got Chevrolets in the back.
And getting full rotating now, but the units are definitely going to be interrupted also by this. Oh, great, here we go.
Yeah.
Fighting on supply.
We've got a lot of Cicada militia thrown in there. We've got some Crescent monks, and yeah, NoBeaches are full committing into this.
Susno's Academy militia getting ready, but Guet is going for it already with the shield maintenance and also going to take down the retinue from the Chevaliers there. NoBeaches is trying to go around with the Cav there, but there's already for Rachu in the back, so that's not gonna do much there.
No, it's not going to do much at all, and you see NoBeaches have literally just completely cleared the point in no time at all. Very good push. They got control of the supply now, so defending C is now going to become extremely hard, and it doesn't help when you int your dagger out stances. So yeah, I believe ENDGEGNER are going to start pulling back to the end point now. I hope they can get some kind of setup on as quick as possible. But NoBeaches are chasing them. Maybe SSR tries to get someone off. Guy from Starburst there. We are going to slow him down a little bit. Hopefully you got enough time to be able to get some kind of defense set up on the end point.
Yeah, curious to find out what. Like, there's definitely still a good set of units left for ENDGEGNER here because there was only one fight.
Yeah, exactly. They still got about 2 units left each. So I think as long as NoBeaches are taking this a lot more slower, they are taking their time with pushing and whatnot. Which one good thing about that is that defense can actually look at setting up properly themselves as well.
Absolutely. Quickly gonna check out who found the hero on the unit kills. Ups with 3 hero kills there. We got what we got. Sigawak one again with 3 hero kills, doing really well there.
Yeah. Very well. Amunism, that's 6 assists.
Yep, he's definitely trying to get in there.
Yeah, overall, a lot of the NoBeaches do work together very well. Definitely their hero mechanics and whatnot, and very decent scores so far.
And Socially Slippy, the musket player that Machin also was talking about in his interview, like there's a couple of musket players on NoBeaches that are just extremely skilled. They'll always be fighting on the front line.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Played against Socially Slippy a few times before, and yeah, he's a very good musket player.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a pain to play against. Alright, so let's see how ENDGEGNER is going to approach this one. Templeshot talked about it in the first match about how teams probably want to approach this like from different angles. Also, of course, you want to bait out the heroes that are hiding on the supply. Ooh, what's this? Ooh, nice! Hussar charge there, getting most of the retinue there, I think. But that's gonna give up the Hussars as well.
That wasn't a bad little gank there.
You tell me if that was worth it. The Hussars for the retinue there.
I don't know exactly what they got there, but it didn't seem like too much.
Yeah,
but if they would have got a couple of Cicada militias, which I still see a unit of them, or anything that can really turn a fight, even if they get a couple of them, it can be a bit of a win. But I'm hoping that they do still have some kind of cav in the back waiting, which I do see some dagger out answers in the back there, because when it comes to these last endpoints, a decent cav charge can completely, help out. So, yeah, as you can see, we've got 2 lanes happening right now, the right side and the bottom. You've got a couple of NoBeaches around the back as well, just to stop their supply point. So anyone, if they're any range at that supply right now, will be getting hit, and any reinforcements can be stopped. And yeah, as you can see, NoBeaches right down there. They got all anti-cav set up, clearing out the point for ENDGEGNER.
Absolutely, and you can even see like the NoBeaches guys, they are killing units, killing heroes, going back to the supply, getting the cav and going to get back in. So right now, you won't be seeing too much from NoBeaches, but in just a few seconds, there's probably going to be loads of NoBeaches with cav coming in. You can see them already stopping the supply there, Machin with his heroes. Ooh, Machin taken down now quickly enough, but now the question is if those dagger lancers will be sitting on the supply for too long for ENDGEGNER to actually get new units there. You can see.
And this is also where you see the more experience as well. Like you have someone who put their 40s down, they put them in brace, and then they're all like while the 40s are getting killed, they're already running back to supply, getting the next unit out. And then by the time their 40s have even been killed, your next unit's already halfway there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, they're disturbing that supply point very well, which makes it really hard for ENDGEGNER to obviously resupply. If they have any like range units that can fire onto the endpoint to start like peppering away, just none of that's happening.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
NoBeaches have cleared the point now. They've gone through. They're cav spamming like crazy, and ENDGEGNER are very much on the back foot.
Absolutely, they're not able to get anything out of that supply. It's still 2v4 on the supply there in favor of ENDGEGNER, but they're not getting the units there. We got Cesper and Nain trying to get on the final point there. It's only 10 or 15 seconds to cap, but we can see just so many of NoBeaches there. They're already pushing to the spawn point.
Yeah, they're playing with him now.
Chimera going to come in with the Hussars. This might be a good one.
Yeah, he might get a couple unit kills, but
not gonna be enough, sure.
Yeah.
Alright, only 1 second needed. How long will we delay? That is the question now. How many more kills do they want?
Yeah, you got a couple of shield maiden units there now, so as soon as these heroes get dismounted, they're gonna get
there we go, that's it.
Yeah.
NoBeaches taking the expected win 2-0 against ENDGEGNER. Well done by them. Zenga getting the MVP here, 170 unit kills, 33 hero kills. I'm gonna find Amya here because where is he? I think I saw something crazy there. 14 assists, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, there we go. He's
right.
involved with 15 of the kills.
Yep. Yeah, so maybe this season Amya will be going for the I'm Helping award, which is for most assists. Who knows? Alright, going over the heroes real quickly. Up's actually performing really well. We saw him a lot on the flanks in the first game as well. Second game, just the same. Impressive stats from all the guys.
Very good stats.
Yeah. Absolutely. Alright. Yeah, looking at ENDGEGNER, just a rough match. I mean, they were definitely doing better in the second fight on the final, at least like pushing NoBeaches off one time, but we could see the reinforcements, right? It was just too quick, NoBeaches too aggressive.
Yeah. I think it's always hard as well when you go against one of the top teams in your first match as well. You know, as I said, like we noticed like a couple of players coming in and out as well of ENDGEGNER, so you still got to mold them into your first 15. And to go against one of the best teams in this tournament, it's very difficult.
Absolutely is. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like when you're playing against a team so experienced as NoBeaches is, that's just going to be really hard. You need to be like, I feel like sometimes teams or players maybe underestimate like how big the gap is between like the 2 or 3 best teams, right?
Oh, I do agree.
Alright, so we're getting Matchin in here in a bit. Find out what he's thinking about this game. Yo, Matt, welcome.
Hello.
And
c'est bien le winner hier.
Yeah, congratulations on the match.
Thanks.
You've been at least beaten the CBL champion from the past, so that's a good start.
Yeah.
You still need to beat another CBL champion, hopefully in the future again. But Templeshot, you back as well?
Yeah, I'm back in as well.
Excellent. Then I'll be getting all of you guys in the stream. You can just like chat away. Did you see any of the match from NoBeaches, Temple?
I just caught the end of it, as they were pushing onto base point. Which
all right, good. All right, then.
Controlled pushes.
Then Matt, you just tell us what happened there.
So basically, I think in defense you probably see they lose most of the exotic before they push because we sniped them with zero, so I'm going outside a bit. So I think it was kind of frustrating for them because whenever they push, they have low exotic, so they lose the fight. So defense was pretty easy. It go as we want. We even have time to chill a bit at the end, go out with Cav and take some fun, so it was chill. And the attack was also pretty chill. I think they do a mistake because when we go for C, they don't have exotic. And I see that they took 2 exotic out, and I have some hero next to the supply, so I got the info that they don't take it out on the right supply. So that means they take it out on the back, so I call the rotation to push on supply and not on C, because the Coco will be too far, so that's what we do, and we win. And they have like every fight they lose because no exotic, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Like especially in the first one on the defense, it almost felt like you guys were attacking instead of ENDGEGNER. You were always going outside, just making sure to get all the Sicalian and stuff. It was pretty insane.
Yeah, to be honest, this is what carry a bit Vazak and Namia when they come to the team. They carry a lot of aggressivity. That's what we was missing.
Yep.
Like on the strategy and rotation and the way we fight, we was good with NoBeaches. And I think during the CBL, you can see during the match of play, the team fight was close between the two teams. So that means we closed this gap, but we was missing the aggressivity and sometimes the creativity to do some crazy shit in the match, not in the strat.
Yeah.
And Vazak and Namia carry totally this. So
Yeah,
Vazak
definitely, I can agree with that.
yeah, they did a lot on this when they say, okay, I see some Coco, I go. We got Tamia, Vazek, and so people follow them because they know it's good call. So it makes us way stronger. And I think this season will be pretty fun to play because of it. Because I mean, in Vocal it was really fun because you know every 2 seconds, me I was like reading and asking people to be there, and I ask, oh, I got the Coco, oh, I got another Coco, oh, we got another Coco, we got a Shenji. I was like, okay, it's so it makes the game so easy, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we were also really curious during the game what the comps would be like in terms of the hero kills, because we saw Amiya, of course, triple Assassin Award winner in 3 seasons with Platinum Temple Shot, but this time getting 14 assists in the last game. How was he in the comps?
Okay, there is a lot of big trouble for Amiya reward, for Amiya Assassin reward, because first, the guys who have made and in the end of game do a lot of kill, because it's like he cleaning the hero fast. So you have these guys. I have Socialist and Yoku with Musket. It's the best class to hero steal. And in plebs,
yeah, exactly.
in plebs they don't got a lot of Musket usually. So and most of the Musket was playing support. So there was no much people who can steal the kill. So it was easier for Amiya. And plus he plays Shuriken for the moment because it's the stronger build on the GB. So it's like the worst moment for him to do hero kill. I know that it's important for him, so after the tough match of the season, I will try to give him unit where he can do some hero kill to get some fun and try to get the award. But it's tough. We can't really play for it, you know. So for the moment, it's a bit tough for him, and I know it will be sad.
Because he is a good musket when he plays it.
Exactly.
I mean,
it would be
one of the best musket I know, but. You know, I buy Amiya to get it in DB. I mean, I do my Mercato to get a DB, because Musket I already got a billion.
Yeah, it's just a shame that Dual Blade's kind of very different now. Like you said, it's all about the shurikens now and getting those unit damage, it's not so much about the hero kills.
Yeah, but I mean, it was weird that in play we got the kill award till most of the time, like on half of the map you send him on the supply far in the back, where he just anti-cap and he don't do kill normally. So it was already a performance that every time he get the hero kill compared to people who are in every fight. So, I mean, I think if he don't get it but we win the rival, he will be fine. So, let's see.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, I'll be coming for you next season after our performance today. I think I've got a good chance of moving up to the next bracket next season. So I think I'll be coming for your title.
Interesting to find out. I was thinking for a moment, that you were offering to play as Longsword for NoBeaches there.
No, I don't think anyone needs to see that.
did you scrim Temple or not? Because your team is basically named no scrim, but I got dubbed.
Yeah, we scrimmed nothing. Like we're not going to do a single scrim the entire time. It's great. I was surprised how well we played today. Honestly.
Okay, I wish you the best fight.
we meet up an hour before we play, and then we just literally did the strats in like 5 minutes. And we're like, yeah, cool, okay. And then I was surprised how well it went.
I'll be back in a minute, guys. You just keep talking, but I'll be back in a minute.